Hello and welcome for round 3 of the Automobilista Australia Touring Car Championship. As you can see on your splash screen, it is season 2 and we're at round 3 here at the street circuit of Salvador. We've just ticked over to the qualifying session. We've currently got 22 drivers in the server, got a couple of new guys. Well, a new driver and a couple others that have just joined in guest cars, and just about to get qualifying underway. So obviously qualifying sessions in these Monday night series, one-shot qualifying, and the one in these touring cars is private. So we'll just have to switch through, and when it is private, we'll just have to switch through the drivers to find, obviously, the driver we want, because we're not going to see any action from another car except the one we select. So at the moment, there's obviously we've got Johnny and Ben Purse. Ben Purse, a newcomer to Automobilista Australia. He's driving the 83 guest Chevrolet car. And yeah, so we've got three cars currently out on circuit. And Johnny is the first one who did drive a couple races last season, but he's decided, but he missed obviously the majority of last season, but he's decided to join us. He's carrying 100 kilos tonight. Obviously he was fairly successful at Goiânia. I believe he took at least one of the races last season. And I apologise if there is a bit of lag and stuttering. I will change that in the warm-up session. I've been trying to run at a higher resolution, but unfortunately it does take away from how smooth the stream runs. But there was a benchmark set in practice right at the end. James A. Owen set the fastest time of a 15.295, 1 minute 15.295. Scott Morrell second fastest on a 15.576. And Brendan Ross rounding out the top 3 in practice. He did a 15.986. They were the only drivers in the 1 minute 15s. As Johnny gets his lap underway. So he's about halfway through his lap now. A lot of drivers coming through this long right-hander here. They have a bit of trouble on the exit. We have seen quite a few drivers knock a mirror off and damage the left side of their car on the exit there, which Johnny doesn't do this time around. Wayne Whitmore. No, Scott Morrell currently just fastest. We'll try and skip to him in a moment once Johnny crosses the start-finish line. And this will be a 1 minute 17.9, so a little bit off the pace there. And got James Owen lagging all over the place there. Scott Morrell up by 0.8 of a second. So we'll see how he can go. Coming up, well, out of the long hairpin and up to the final chicane here, where we've seen numerous drivers obviously hit the sleeping policeman there and get airborne, as well as get track cut. So 16.2, so 0.3 slower than Whitmore. Whitmore obviously very impressive in the Rookie Cup. He may see, probably if he continues this kind of form, he will end up picking up a bit of weight for the future rounds, but that's his personal best of 15.8. That's the third fastest time of all so far, and it's a good time to do it in a qualifying session, especially one where you only get one lap to do it. So just having a look around, James Owen is lagging all over the place, so you won't stick with him. So just go to Reese Gardner. Gardner in practice set a
personal best for 1 minute 16.3. So in the top 5 fastest times currently set. But is obviously 1.1 off the outright fastest time. But we do know he can put a lap together and is very consistent. So the weight shouldn't hinder him too much here. Looking at live races, Fernando Bruno fastest in the middle sector, 30.8, which is a 10th faster than Whitmore. Baker P4. So through the final chicane goes Gardner, he crosses the line, 16.4. So not too good for him. And James Owen did lag his way to P2, 15.958. Fastest in the final sector with a 25.1. But his middle sector and first sector cost him dearly. Reece Gardner goes P4 as you saw there. So just having a look around. Brendan Ross, another one that's been in pretty decent form in this series at least. So we'll come back to him when he begins his lap. Joyner goes P11 as you can see there. Just trying to find someone that we can view as Cracker enters the pits. He's 6th fastest on to 17.6. Glenn Miles on an out lap. Neil Donaldson in the pits. Draper is on an out lap. Well, Joyner has finished his lap, but continues to push, so hopefully he doesn't continue on, otherwise he'll find himself getting a big fat disqualification. So we'll just stick with him for a moment, and then we'll cut to Brendan Ross when he begins his lap. Still 3 and 3/4 minutes, and still got quite a few drivers to set a lap. And well, Fernando Bruno did set the the fastest middle sector, but he must have binned it or cut the track. I'm going to hazard a guess he cut the track at the final chicane, as Joyner does enter the pits. I'm going to hazard a guess he cut the final chicane, and that means he's going to start way at the back. So Ross now is going to approach the final chicane. It's right on board, as you can see, very tricky. Can take a bit of curb there, but if you're on a hot lap, if you get it just right, you can use a lot of it. It will compromise, obviously, your run to turn 1, but it's on an out lap because of where the start-finish line is. It doesn't matter, as Ross runs wide, and that's going to compromise his lap a little bit. And damage the right-hand side of his car is down by 1.5 tenths. The first split, but what can he do in the middle sector? A little bit of curb there. Oh, he's locked up, and that's going to cost him a bit of time. But how will he take the long sweeping right-hander here? Very shallow entry. He's had to lift off, and he's down by half a second. So that lock-up's cost him pretty dearly. If he continues on his pace or matches the final sector of Whitmore, that will put him. They'll slot him into 4th in front of Gardner. See how he negotiates the final chicane. Very aggressive, a lot of curb, and he goes P5. So not quite good enough. Just another 10th there in that final sector. And Draper finished his lap. He did a 1:17.0, so he's well off. And, just have a look. So we've got last year's champion Brenton Foley now out on an out lap. He was he did all right in practice as well. The 16.7 was his personal best, which is good enough for 6th outright fastest of all the times that are set, including the ones in qualifying so far. So that's not too bad. So he was pretty quick at Villa Park. Unfortunately,
He ran into, once again, technical issues, which I have been told since have been sorted. So hopefully he shouldn't disconnect from at the start once the session ticks over from warm-up to the race. And then obviously in the second race where he was I believe he did have the fastest lap of the race. He unfortunately got involved in just a racing incident between Draper and Davies. Davies ran wide, hit a solid tyre bundle off the side of the track and speared into Foley, and that wrecked both Foley and Davies' race. Oh, that's going to cost him a tenth or two just off the start there by getting a bit too airborne there. Canal team do like to run on old tyres in practice, so that might not be an exactly representative time that he's set then. In fact, he's 1.5 tenths up in the first sector, so Foley, despite losing probably a tenth or so, losing the back end over the curb at the final chicane, that's a very good first sector. That's locked up into this triple apex chicane, but otherwise that's looked very, very handy through there. Now through the long right-hand sweeper, hugging the wall on the right. Well, he's gained another tenth and a half. So he's only got to navigate this long left-hand hairpin and the triple apex chicane. So he's just really got to not blow the chicane and get a track cut. And he probably will hold on for pole here. Oh, it's very wide, and he's got a track cut. Oh, so what a shame for Brenton Foley. That would have been pole position, but he was too aggressive, and Brenton Foley will start at the back. So once again, this second season of the Touring Car Championship for Brenton Foley has not gone very well at all. He was on course for pole position, and unfortunately he's blown it at the final chicane. So just to go through the final order of qualifying once again, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, we've got Wayne Whitmore on pole position. James Owen will start alongside him in P2. Scott Murrell, P3. Reese Gardner, P4. Brendan Ross, P5. Gary Neville, P6. Jaden Draper, P7. Baker, P8. Cracker, his teammate, alongside in P9. Johnny, P10. Termo, 11th. Eli Donaldson, 12th. Brownie, 13th. Coops, 14th. Ben Purse, the newcomer, 15th. Luke Joyner, 16th. Walsh was the last driver to set a lap time. He will start 17th. And then Glenn Miles, Brenton Foley, Fernando Bruno, Matt Williams, and Hectic Hazard all either crashed or they got track cuts and they didn't set a lap. So we'll just take a short break as the driver's briefing is conducted, but we shall be back shortly.
These guys are going to do it a lot quicker. Yeah.
No, we won't do quicker than 114.
I won't do quicker than one. I won't do quicker than 17, to be honest.
Okay, Lewis.
I gave it a red hot go into turn 2, but my rear end had other ideas.
Oh.
Is it alright if I leave and come back? Because I like...
We were just concentrating on driving standards.
We have a driver's briefing.
starting speed.
Not so much question, but more just that, I think I'm pole sitter, so I will not be accelerating over 80 before the start finish line, so I won't be rushing. I will be at the start finish line before I accelerate above 80.
Are we gonna speed up to 80 up to the chicane?
The start finish line's before the chicane, is it not?
No, it's
No.
right after. It's literally on
Like-
the exit.
5 meters after.
No, looks like we're all good, though.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, welcome back. So the driver's briefing has been conducted. Now it's time to bring up, obviously, the driver's standings. So, as you can see on your screen, unfortunately it's not showing the background there, but yeah, on your screen there, James Owen currently leads the championship on 68 points, taking a win in the first race of the season, and I think nabbed a 3rd or 4th there in the second race, and then didn't have a great start at Velo Park, but picked up a 2nd place in the second race there. And Matt Williams has had a very good start to his season, flying the flag for Farcanel Racing at the moment, and we'll be looking to continue a good bit of form. But unfortunately, both Farcanel, well, both Foley and Williams anyway, they've both had a shocking qualifying where neither of them set a lap time, so they're struggling a little bit at the moment. So they'll be hoping that a few drivers in front of them fall off the road and pick up the places, because it's not going to be an easy race for them. And then, as you can see, P4, Corey Preston, who is not here this evening. And Baker has been very, very consistent throughout, with unfortunately picking up a DNF in the second race at Guyana, which wasn't his fault off the top of my head. And if he had have picked up points there, he'd be very close to Corey Preston and Brendan Ross, I dare say. And then below them, Reece Gardner took a win at Velo Park and then had internet issues for the second race, so he'll be hoping for a bit better luck this time out. And then Whitmore on pole this time out. Didn't do too well at Velo Park, but obviously he has returned to form in a big way, nabbing pole position for race 1 tonight. And then Bruno, rough start at Velo Park, but a couple of solid results at Velo Park, and a terrible start at Guyana. And then Jaden Draper picking up a win at Velo Park, being pretty much the reason why he's in P9, and Scott Morrell hasn't had the greatest start to his season, with Guyana being a thorn in his side, and the second race at Velo Park also costing him dear. That's the top 10, so we'll skip to the Teams Championship. And Brendan Ross and Scott Morrell, with Piston Broke Racing currently leading on 80 points. Team Cracker Racing, 57 points and 23 points adrift. And then Corey Preston, the sole driver for JMSR Racing, is on 51. D2 Racing with Sanford and Davies, both drivers not present tonight. Farcanel, they're both well down the field, unfortunately, in the standings and in qualifying. And then we've got Chevrolet Castrol Racing with Termo, the sole driver, on 19 points, with Hector Kaza and Hector Kaza's New Zealand Sim Racing being the last team with a point on 14 points. So we've just ticked over to the race session, and we're just about ready to get underway. Just a slight change. See, it happened last season here with the tight and twisty final chicane there, as you can see in the foreground of the screen. Because of that, just like we did last season, it will be single file until the start-finish line right there. So single file, just so we don't have people obviously driving into the barriers or being forced wide and being disadvantaged. And you can actually beach a car on those curbs there, so if the driver did happen to stop on the curb, they'd end up getting beached. But anyway, just run through the field. You see we've got Wayne Whitmore pole position, James Owen second, Scott Morrell start third, Reece Gardner P4, Brendan Ross P5. So Piston Broke Racing looking to extend their lead in the Teams Championship. Gary Neville flying the flag for Farcanel Racing at the moment. He will start P6 Draper, winner last time out P7 Baker, P8 Cracker, in P9 Johnny, P10 Termo has missed the start and will start from the pit lane. Thankfully the first sector is only 19 seconds, so 19-20 seconds, so it's not too much of a, well, it is a big loss having to fight your way through the field, but so he's hoping to avoid some carnage. Eli Donaldson will start P12, Brownie 13th, Coops 14th, Ben Hurst, the newcomer, P15, Joyner 16th, Ryan Walsh and Glenn Miles 17th and 18th for FUR. Brenton
Foley 19th. Hectic Hazard 20th. Matt Williams 21st. Fernando Bruno 22nd. And Wayne Whitmore is approaching the final chicane, and we are just about to get underway. And unfortunately, he has got himself a stop-go penalty of sorts. I don't know what has happened. Perhaps he's driven too slowly, and it's given him a drive-through, and that will move him well down the field as we get underway. So the first group of about 5 or 6 cars there, very tight together. And Owen having a look a bit more down to turn 4, I believe. At the end, having to defend from Brendan Ross and P3. He's all over the... Oh no, Murrell, sorry. He's all over the curb, and now he's going to have to deal with Miss Gardner in behind. So we'll start with the cars run through here. So Whitmore wide there into the barrier on the exit. We'll see a bit of that throughout this race, so now having to go defensive as Owen will look to go around the outside. Whitmore has outbroke himself. That will allow Owen through, and it will probably allow Murrell through as well, and it has. It's both Draper and Gardner, or Draper and Ross, having just clipping the barrier on the exit, and Whitmore entering the pits. It is a very tricky pit lane. I reckon he might find himself a lap down there, so he must have been going too slow on the formation lap, and it's given him a penalty. So now James Owen, championship leader, in the lead, and he's got Scott Murrell and Reese Gardner in behind, but he's got a little bit of a gap over those two at the moment. Cracker Racing team, we've got Cracker having a look up the inside of Baker, and he gets it done. Incident on the field there. See if there's anybody that spun out of that. Doesn't look like it, but there's a mighty melee going on between Brian Walsh, Matt Williams and Fernando Bruno. So Walsh tries to hold on. He's not given Matt Williams any space there, and I don't think he's too pleased with that. And that's cost Matt Williams position to Bruno, and now Bruno having a look at Brian Walsh, P17. Side by side into the hairpin. He should get that done. Brian Walsh has gone deep on the brakes. It's going to cost him position to Bruno and possibly, yes, and to Matt Williams as well. So all that defending for naught as Foley gets a good run out of the chicane, and he gets past Luke Joyner, and now he's got his eyes set on Coops in front of him. So Foley up 6 spots from where he started. He's got a long way to go. So cut to the front, Brendan Ross drifting it under the bridge, and back at the front, Murrell has pulled away a bit from Reese Gardner, and he's now right behind James Owen for the lead. So we do hear contact, and that's Brendan Ross. Ross into the barrier at the chicane. So we'll just have a look. As you saw, he's all kinds of sideways under the bridge. I had to hazard a guess, he's outbroke himself, locked up and into the fence at the chicane. Yep, and bang, that's it. So he has got going again, and he's right behind Foley, who's moved up another. He's got past Coops and trying to think, Ben Purse as well on this lap. So Foley up a couple more spots. And now he's got Brendan Ross right in front of him. It's Ross all over the sausage curves there. So just cut up to Murrell as he runs very wide at the bottom of the hill there, and that's cost him a lot of time to Owen in front. Front three sort of broken away a bit from Draper. Draper 2.5 seconds behind Gardner. So Draper has got Gary Neville, who's doing a very good job so far. P5. 2.2 seconds behind that Jaden Draper, and he's 2 seconds in front of Cracker. So he's flying the flag very well for Harkinell Racing. I don't believe he's have to have another check at the championship points, but I'm not sure if he's actually scored yet this season. If he has, he's not scored very well. So at the front, Moore has not had a good lap so far. He's got 6 tenths in the middle sector. And oh, he's got major air time, so that'll be a track cut. You know, if you get 4 of them, that'll be a penalty. So the gap 1.4 seconds, first to second, and then another 1.4, at least at the split anyway. 1.3, no, 1 second between Gardner and Murrell, the second and third. Owen fastest lap of the race that time out, 15.6 and 15.9 for Gardner. But we had quite a number of drivers on that last lap. We've got track cuts. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 8 drivers have got track cuts on that last lap. So I don't know if something's going on and we've missed it. But yeah, a lot of people cutting that final chicane. I had to guess. Foley, after his mishap, he would have been on pole position as Brownie in front of him puts the barrier in the exit of the chicane. He would have been on pole position, but a track cut at the final chicane has meant that he's had to start all the way at the back, and he's up 9 spots to P10, and he is currently 17 seconds off the lead. And just go through the field, and Walsh hits the wall there, and he's got a bit of damage, and looks like he's going to park it. Johnny's dropped down to 20th, so he's made a mistake somewhere because he qualified at 10th or 11th. And Whitmore was on pole position. For those that have just tuned in, he was on pole position, but was going too slowly, I believe, on the formation lap and got himself a stop go. So that's why he's down in 20th despite starting on pole position. Matt Williams, second in the championship, has made up 4 spots, but he's not making too many inroads at the moment. He's stuck behind Hector Cazza, Brendan Ross, Ben Purse. And Foley has got past Brownie, and that elevates him to P9. And he's got 3.7 seconds to Donaldson up the road and 5.8 to Baker. There's Donaldson into the barrier there at the chicane. A few drivers have struggled with that chicane, being a bit too aggressive, taking too much curb or just carrying too much entry speed. And already 6 laps in, 17 minutes to go. A lot of drivers carrying a lot of battle damage to that front left-hand side of their cars. Scott Morrell does his personal best, a 10th faster than James Owen on that last lap. But the last couple of laps from Morrell haven't been too good, and his drop time, he was right behind him just 2 or 3 laps ago, and now the gap is out to 1.9 seconds. So he's going to be pretty consistent for the remainder of the race if he wants to have a chance of taking that lead. So just once again recycle down and try and find an interesting battle. So Foley has got past Donaldson. Donaldson was a few seconds up the road, so Donaldson must have made a mistake somewhere. So what has he done? So has he made a mistake? Yes, he's outbroke himself at the hairpin. Yeah, and obviously that's allowed Foley to close right up and eventually get past him. Foley that last lap, 15.6, so he is at the same, he is lapping at the same speed as the leaders, so he'd be absolutely kicking himself that he did ruin his qualifying lap at the death, the final chicane. He really needs a good, strong, consistent run of good results if he wants to get himself back to the championship hunt, as he picks up a track cut there at the final chicane. It's very easy to do, so he's pushing very hard to try and close the gap to Baker, who's 2.8 seconds up the road, and 4.3 up the road is Cracker. So if he keeps going the way he's going, I could see him closing down the gap to possibly Jaden Draper in P4, but I don't think he's got the pace barring some
errors from the front three to get a podium, but he could nab a P4 if he keeps going the way he's going. So, while not the best result he could have gotten tonight, or from the first race anyway, P4 wouldn't be too bad from starting at the back, as we saw Cracker there get up on 2 wheels. And he's currently 2.3 behind Gary Neville. He's cut further down the field, and looks like Bruno now. He's got in front of Joyner. Behind Joyner, he's got Ben Purse and Matt Williams, who has got past Termo and Brendan Ross there. And he's having a right old crack now at Ben Purse. Let's look up the inside, but not quite close enough. A little bit wide there from Purse, and it's compromise his exit, and now they're going to go side by side into the chicane. And Williams does ease out of it. Didn't get a track cut though, so he must have lifted enough that it didn't ping him there. So a bit lucky. He'll certainly take it. So now he's dropped off a bit from Purse, and he's got Ross behind him again. So he's going to have to, when he does make a move, he's going to have to consider obviously how he's going to get the job done in front, and if he doesn't get it done, he's going to have to consider how to keep Ross behind him as well. So you've got yellow flags out. Oh, that's Brownie. Brownie's made a mistake, and he's got some damage to the front right of that car, so we'll just have a look. So there's just a bit of lag while his car's looking funny during the replay, but he's outbraked himself massively there, and that's significant damage to that car, and in fact, that's him out of the race. And, well, coming back from the replay, coming out of the chicanes with the long right-hand sweep, but Matt Williams on the inside will get past Ben Purse into 13th place. He's got Luke Joyner in front of him, and then Bruno a couple of seconds adrift. And Baker has been overtaken by Brenton Foley, so Foley continues to race hard, and now he's got 1.5, 1.4 seconds to Cracker in front. And looking at the last lap, once again, Foley pushing so hard, he got another track cut, so he's going to have to watch himself. He is using up a lot of them, and there's still 12.5 minutes to go, plus the extra lap, so he's going to have to watch himself, otherwise he will find himself ruining his race even further by getting himself a drive-through penalty for extending the track too many times. And Reece Gardner has moved up in front of Scott Mills, so that's a recent development. Looking at the first sector, Scott Mills had a bit of a shocker, so let's just have a look and see what has happened. So let's come up to, I believe that's Glenn Miles, I think, of the FUR cars. Yeah, Glenn Miles. I don't think he's hindered him too much, but it's hindered him a little bit. Gardner into the barrier there, but very conservative. And looks like Gardner's going to push hard and get around the outside down the bottom of the hill here. Yep, there we go. So that is what happened. And then there's a change for P2. And well, the gap between Gardner and Owen, that's a good 4 seconds now. So Owen controlling this race and well, walking away really from this race. And we've had another retirement. So Hector Cazza has retired. This has Johnny. Quite a few retirements now. Whitmore in 17th now. And, the leaders are coming up to lap him. His last lap wasn't a very good one, a 19.0. So he's made a mistake somewhere. And Matt Williams has been re-overtaken from Ben Purse. So just have a look at the lap times. The first split. Foley purple, so he's the quickest man on circuit at the moment. But, none of these guys on screen have a first split as Purse runs wide, and that allows Matt Williams back through again, and Termo to close right in on these guys. So Turmo's moved up and Ross behind him's made a mistake, and El Chief cuts the chicane once again, outbrakes himself, but no penalty this time out, but he's now done that a couple of times that we've seen, so he's going to have to watch himself as well. And Wayne Whitmore, another retirement, so he's going to have to see what's happened here. He's just pulled over. Don't know if he's got damage, but looks like he's just going to pull over and decide to retire. Morrill and Gardner continue to battle away. The gap from Gardner's brought the gap down now, so 3.6 seconds with 9.5 minutes to go. And what Morrill will be hoping now is obviously that these guys slowly catch up to the back of Owen, and Gardner pulls him along, and then obviously once Gardner and Owen battle, he can come in and swoop and possibly steal the victory. Draper all out on his own, but he's now got Brenton Foley behind him now in P5, so a fantastic drive from Foley. He would probably be leading this, well, he would most likely be leading this race had he not messed his qualifying session up, but he's done a fantastic job. Up 14 spots, as you can see. He's driven beautifully so far, and he's got 3.3 seconds to Draper in front, and the gap between him and Owen's actually come down. It was 17, 18 seconds actually a couple laps ago when we were last with him. That's 16.9. That's a fair effort considering obviously Folder's had to pass quite a few cars for position. So if he hadn't mucked up qualifying, he'd probably be the one out front at the moment. So once again, he'll be kicking himself. But obviously this first race has gone better than what it has at the last two rounds, where he's not even started. So better than nothing. In fact, 1.3 seconds in the middle sector faster than Jaden Draper. So I don't know if Draper made a mistake or Foley's just massively quicker through there, but I'm going to have to hazard a guess that it was a mistake as he pushes hard. He does almost the fastest lap of the race, or his fastest anyway. In fact, the fastest lap of the race is a 15.4. It's still a 15.5 is nothing to scoff at. Fastest man on track at the moment, 6 tenths faster than Owen on that last lap. So he's driving the absolute wheels off that Toyota Corolla. There's, Draper wide and into the barrier there, so he's got more damage to the front right of his Ford Focus. And that's just more incentive for Foley to try and get past him here. So right aboard the long right-hand sweeper. See, Foley takes a wider, tighter line through there, while Draper sort of a little bit lost. Goes to, that's very naughty from Draper there, and that will, not the smartest driving. He's just swerved over to defend when there's a car, and obviously Foley's nose is there. And so we'll just have another look at that. That is not the smartest driving you'll see going on. It's just gone to move over to defend aggressively, and he's stuffed his own race there, has Draper, so he got his own bit of karma for some silly driving. Foley, unfortunately, would have picked up a little bit of damage from that. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully it doesn't hinder his lap times, because he's very quick. 6.5 minutes to go. Never know with a mistake with the guys in front. He could close in and put a little bit of pressure on Scott Morrill in front, but probably not. Either way, P4 from obviously 19th on the grid is a fantastic effort from the reigning champion. Just go further down the field. Bruno still trying to chase down Luke Joyner, and looks like El Chief has cleared Turmo, and Ben Person's got a bit of a gap over those guys now, and Brendan Ross is just looking for him. In fact, Brendan Ross is a lap down. He's got a penalty of some sort, so on track he's right behind those guys, but I think he's got himself a couple track cuts, and he's already served the drive-through. We've missed it, and Gary Neville is recently retired as well. I've missed that. I don't know when that happened, but I think I'll just leave that for now. So he was in a decent position early on. He was running, I think, 6th place, 5th and 6th place for a lot of the early going in this race, and he's unfortunately retired for Farcanel Racing. So that's more vital points for the team gone begging. And with obviously Scott Moore for piston broke in third, and but his teammate Ross out of the points, or no, 15th is 1 point, I believe. He would have been vital points for the Farcanel Racing team. But unfortunately, DNF hurt them because they need all the points they can get. With, obviously, they've had a bit of a rough start with Foley in a very slow start to his season. So the gap at the front now, 4.1 seconds again. So Owen's just eked out that gap a little bit more. Last couple of laps, Gardner's lost a little bit of time to Owen, and now Gardner's having to deal with Foley, who's just 7 tenths behind him now. And behind them, Foley, good 12.9 seconds down the road. He's got Cracker behind him. Cracker, in fact, these last couple of laps has been sort of matching Foley a little bit, so Cracker's sort of picked up his pace a little bit. He's sort of probably seen the lines that Foley's been taken, and he's breaking points and taken some notes, and now he's starting to drive pretty nicely. He's having a good run in P5, and then Baker is all on his own. He's got 11 seconds to his teammate in front, and he's got 12 seconds to Donaldson behind. Donaldson, he's got 7 seconds to Bruno behind, who's side by side with Joyner. He's going to try and go the long way around the outside and just clips the wall on the exit. And that's allowed Matt Williams to close in. And going by the lap times that it's been set, especially by the front runners, it looks like a lot of people are starting to struggle with their front tyres now. The lap times have dropped from 15s to 16s. And drivers are struggling a little bit as Jones has a lot of curve and Bruno runs a little bit wide, and that allows Matt Williams behind to close in. Williams on that last lap was faster than both of these guys, but only by a couple of tenths. As looks like Bruno's going to try and go up the inside into the hairpin. He should get that done unless he outbrakes himself. Joyner brakes very late. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. And looks like Bruno gets it done. It's just too long a radius a corner to hold on around the outside there. So Bruno up to P8. Joyner's got a good exit out of the final chicane, and he's going to have a look, I'd say, into turn 2 down here. No, not quite close enough. In fact, Joyner's very conservative through there, and that's allowed Matt Williams to close in. Like Williams might have even clipped the barrier there on the exit. He's close by. A lot of curve for both Joyner and Matt Williams there. And Bruno edging away. Oh, he does lock up into the chicane. So is Williams close enough into the hairpin to get the job done here? Joyner had a much bigger lift through there. Goes defensive early, and Williams going to have to try and hold on around the outside or try and get him on the switchback. Yeah, can't quite get it done. He's going to have to wait because he's not close enough into the chicane to get it done. He's having a look. There's Joyner very wide, so maybe that little look from Williams did put Joyner under a bit of pressure there and forced him to run wide, but unfortunately Williams would compromise himself by taking the shallow line into the entry. That said though, he's very close now and should have a good run into the downhill under the bridge section. He's having a look, side's better of it. But Joyner does run wide, and in fact Williams had to get out of it just a little bit to avoid contact. A little bit too much curve there on the initial part there for Williams, and that cost him. He almost ran
himself into the barrier on the exit there, but he pulled it up. Hill Chief having a look up the inside to the hairpin, but not close enough here. Oh, looks like Joyner's made. Sorry, I was just trying to see what happened further up the field for a second, but looks like Joyner's made a mistake through the chicane. And that has allowed Williams to get by and move up into the top 10. There we go. Joyner this time did the same thing he did last lap, and that's allowed Matt Williams to get by very, very easily. So both Farkinell cars in the top 10 now. So that's good for their team championship. Mike, it's not just you, it's just OBS. I did try and raise these settings, but it's made it stutter, so it will be changed during the warm-up. So it's Bruno P8, Donaldson P7, Baker P6, Cracker doing a pretty good job now. He's only 1.5 behind Foley after he got past him, and Foley, fantastic job, P4, and he's got Brendan Ross, the lap car, in front of him. And he's actually gained a couple of seconds, so Morrell's made a mistake on the last... He's made a couple little mistakes the last couple of laps. And he's lost a little bit of time to Foley, but time has expired. And I believe this is the final lap, 21 of 21. We haven't seen much of James Owen because he's had pretty much a 4-second lead for the majority of the race, ever since Wayne Whitmore wrecked his own race by... being too far behind the safety car, but he crosses the line and will take his second victory of the season. And Reece Gardner P2, Scott Morrell P3, 4 seconds adrift. He was running P2 for the early portion of this race, but dropped back. Brenton Foley will cross the line for P4. Fantastic effort to get to where he was from where he started. Cracker, great effort from him. He finishes P5. Baker, he's got the final chicane to go, and he should finish in P6 unless he gets himself a penalty or happens to crash at the final chicane, which he thankfully doesn't. So Baker, good job for him. P6 for the Cracker Racing team, and Eli Donaldson will finish P7. And then there's Fernando Bruno 8th. Matt Williams, ooh, that's very wide over the bumps, but he'll finish P9. Joyner, P10. Turmo, he's got a bit of battle damage on his car. He will hold on and finish P11. Ben Purse, 12th on that debut. Coops, he's got a fair way to go, but he should finish 13th. He's got 1 minute 7 to Glenn Miles behind. In fact, he should. Quite well, I'm pretty sure. No, Glenn Miles and Ross have finished, so Coops will finish in 13th place. And then Glenn Miles and Brendan Ross are the last two drivers to finish. So Brendan Ross will start on pole position for the reverse grid race, as Coops does finish 13th. So we've seen an interesting race. Obviously, being a street circuit, it is tricky. Saw the majority of the cars having quite a bit of damage on the front end of their cars, which is of no surprise. And but I don't think the winner can be too much of a surprise. James Owen's been pretty handy in this series so far, and he takes his second win. Reece Gardner doing his, well, being as consistent as ever and doing a pretty good job considering the 100 kilos he has on board. So good effort from him to take home P2. It was iffy if he was going to make it, but he did. And then Scott Morrell, probably a little frustrated, obviously making a mistake that allowed Gardner to get by and then dropping to P3, but still good points for him after his rough start to the season. Brenton Foley, speaking of rough starts to the season, his has been absolutely awful, but including, well, the qualifying session, but he fought well, was quick, consistent,
and didn't really put a foot wrong to get himself up from 19th on the grid to P4 around a street circuit. So top effort from him. And then Cracker and Baker for Cracker Racing, both of those guys did a great job with Donaldson. And, well, the results has just ticked over. But I'll just leave it there for now. But obviously, interesting race. There wasn't too much action for the lead, unfortunately. Hopefully that changes next time out. Yeah, I'm sort of a little bit lost for words. I've sort of got to concentrate on setting the grid. But we'll just take a short break. Well, actually, it won't be a short break. I've got to do another driver's briefing. But we shall be back in a few minutes' time. So cheers.
Lewis is wanking.
I didn't want to say anything in case you're on air. Did you see the Draper thing? Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, I got well out of it, and he still took me out.
I'm sorry, Foley, if you could shut up and let Lewis finish the sentence. Define done. I can go murder him. He can go sit with his little friend and bitch about us on fucking AEC forums.
We're on air, we're on air, we're on air. He's got me said so much horrible shit on broadcast before because it hasn't muted it. Alright, who did I call a cunt?
I'm just gonna check the live chat now.
I just heard in the background, I'm like, fuck!
I'm even trying to be an acceptable... Not acceptable, I'm trying to be less outspoken.
Even as you say, you could say so much horrible shit on podcasts.
Type me stream, so I keep having to delete the evidence. You're gonna do the grid and then do the briefing? Yeah. I'm just saying because I can jump off for 2 seconds.
I'm going to start from the back again. Oh no! I was sitting there, I'm like, alright, all I've got to do is not mess up the chicane. I'll go easy, and I still stuffed it. I don't know, my car, it just burnt tyres so nicely. It was a lot of fun. After steering damage too. Oh, I'll just do that again and stay in front of them. We're still on, Lewis. Check it. Check it.
Okay, and welcome back. Driver's briefing for the second race has been conducted, and we are 15 seconds from the warm-up to be ticked over to the race session. So, just to go through the reverse grid for those that are playing along at home, and let me just try and find the correct batch file. There we are. So we will have Brendan Ross will start from pole position. Obviously he had a bit of a shocker in that first race, but he kept it going, and he was the last one to not retire. So he'll start from pole position, and he'll have Glenn Miles starting second. Coops will start P3, Ben Purse P4, Termo P5, Luke Joyner in P6, Matt Williams P7, Fernando Bruno P8, Eli Donaldson P9, and Baker P10. Alright, so drivers are forming up onto the grid. The Chevrolet safety car is waiting. 20 seconds until they begin the formation lap. So, with a few drivers out of position, this is a prime opportunity for Brendan Ross to get his championship hopes back on track. Obviously, he'll be starting from the front, and well, the next guy that's really in championship contention, well, Matt Williams is P7, but he hasn't been the quickest around here. The quickest obviously being Foley, Murrell and Gardner alongside Owen being the fastest. They're starting 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. So if Ross can just get an early lead and not throw it into the fence, he should see kickstart his championship hopes. So just started the formation lap. I am aware of that, Rody, and just ticked over, as you can see. So there we are, Brendan Ross starting from the front. Coops in the flat spot racing P2, and Purse, Termo, Joyner, Matt Williams, Fernando Bruno, Eli Donaldson, Baker, and then Cracker in 10th, Frank Foley 11th, Morrill 12th, Gardner 13th, Owen 14th, Draper 15th, Neville 16th, Whitmore 17th, Brownie 18th, Johnny 19th, Hector Kaza 20th, and Rymosh 21st. I believe Glenn Miles had a game crash when it ticked over, a la Brenton Foley in the first two rounds. So that will be him off, or out for this race. Technical problem ruling him out, so that obviously moves everybody up, aside from Brendan Ross, up one position. Safety car coming out of the hairpin and about to pull into the pits. Drivers at the chicane are instructed, or once the safety car pulls in, instructed to do 80 kilometers per hour until the start finish line in single file, and then away we go. So Ross got a little bit of a gap over Coops there, and away he goes. Passing before the start finish line, and we're away. So Matt Williams already having a look. Luke Joyner very defensive, and Bruno's going to try and hang around the outside. Doesn't quite get it done, does Bruno? He's close to Chief. He might have a look up the inside as Matt Williams covers it. Bruno into the wall, and then into Matt Williams. So aggressive from Bruno, and that's in fact dropped him down a spot to 8th, so that Donaldson up to 7th, and now Williams can concentrate on P5. At the front, Coops has got, Ross has got a little bit of lead over Coops, and Coops has got Purse pretty close by, and they've got a slight gap over Termo for P4, and then Joyner and Williams battling it out. So that was Williams a little bit wide there. Seen a few
few cars into that exit barrier there. And then further back, got Bruno trying to make his way back past Donaldson to P7. Got all the two Cracker Racing cars side by side there into the hairpin. We've got Foley right behind. Foley's not made up the spot. Neither has Squirrel. And we've got Owen and Gardner side by side into the chicane. And we've got J-Buck keeping watch right behind. Owen sides against it. Bit of airtime there for a couple of runners over the curving. Now Bruno has dropped back even further. Donaldson side by side as well. So something has happened to Bruno there and has dropped him back. And so what has happened here? So he's lost a little bit of speed. Oh, he's had a poor exit chicane. He's got Baker right behind him. And after all that, got a yellow out somewhere. Who was that in the fence? It's Coops. So what has happened to Coops here? So let's just have a look down the hill. So he's just out, broke himself, locked up, and bang. So that's him down. He's now down with Walsh. Gary Neville down there. So Neville's had issues. So that's allowed Foley up 3, Moore up 3, Gardner up 3, Cracker down 1, and Bruno down 5 after all that. And Owen, he lost out there too. So massive scrap here, and that's Ben Purse. So what has happened to Ben Purse here? So he was side by side with Luke Joyner. The fence there a little bit, but that shouldn't have caused too much damage. He's having a look up the inside of Turmo and Joyner. And then he's slowed a lot. And he's got going against it. Perhaps a PC issue slowing him down. He's just turning an application off or something. But it's dropped him well down. So a bit of a shame for him. Running up so high. And now Foley up the inside of Donaldson. And Foley up to P5. And looks like Moore might get by as well. Not yet. But Ross got a massive 7-second lead at the moment. Up front, still took the barrier there. And now he's got Gardner behind him. Baker right there, and then Owen a couple of spots back. So Owen has got past Bruno. So Joyner's got a angry cars behind him as when Ross gets away. Ross has done what he's had to do if he wants to win this race. He's built up a big lead early, and Turmo can't quite get by him, and neither can Matt Williams. And it looks like Matt Williams, oh, he's understeered. Looks like he's letting his teammate go there, but understeered too much and clipped the barrier there. Although I don't think doesn't look like he's got significant damage on the front of that car, so I don't think it's damaged the suspension too much there, thankfully for him. But that's allowed Brenton Foley now up into P4, and Foley that last lap did set the fastest lap. A couple of seconds, or second and a half or so down from the fastest lap in the first race, it's 17-1. But obviously Foley's had to contend with a couple of cars. So we'll just stick with Foley for the minute. He's 7.3 behind Ross, but there's still 20 minutes to go. So there is a chance for him to claw back a victory and get a decent round result for him should he close that gap down to Ross. He's pushing very hard, very, very wide. And another car into that little wall there. Behind them, Moore's got Gardner close by. It looks like Owen is closing down on the both of them after he's got past Baker. Cracker having a look at Bruno there. Now Bruno heading a very angry battle pack containing Cracker, Draper, Whitmore, and there's Johnny as well. And then Hector Cazar's made his way up 5 spots. He's now in 15th. Donaldson, he's dropped down 8 spots. Just see Whitmore having a look at the inside of Draper. Johnny having a look up the inside of Whitmore in the bottom of the hill. Got the yellow flags out, and he's got a little bit of a nudge, so what has happened? Where is the yellow?
yellow has dropped back, so something's happened to Turmo. He must have been the one that caused the yellow, I'd imagine. So Brownie possibly was getting lapped. Lucky hindered him, but certainly ran a little bit wide there through turn 2, and then allowed Matt Williams to have a look up the inside and get past, as did Morrill. And behind Gardner, and now he's got Owen behind him. And Matt Williams having a look at the inside of Joyner into turn 2. A little bit of contact, but he gets it done. And Matt Williams up to P3. So just have another look at that on replay. So Joyner, what a great exit from the chicane. A little bit of slide through turn 1. He's gone defensive and too much space for Williams. But nevertheless, he's got it done. But, now Joyner's trying to get that position back as Morrill has a look up the inside of Gardner. So Gardner has got past as Joyner very wide, almost into the barrier, and that's hindered Gardner and given Matt Williams wild breathing room. So a massive battle pack now behind Joyner. Goes defensive. Looks like Morrill's going to try and follow up the inside. Gives him a little bit of a nudge as Morrill. It's forced him wide. And in the end, probably helped him actually. As, well, helped Joyner, but it's disadvantaged himself. And Morrill's going to lose out to Owen. So he's a lot of air time over the curb there. He's trying to go up now. Owen trying to go up the inside. And Gardner trying to go around the outside. This is very messy. They're 3 wide through turn 2. And now Joyner goes defence. Well, he's sort of in the middle of the road, so it's sort of hindering both Gardner and Owen. 16 and a half minutes left. So this is hard racing and a little bit of contact between Morrill and Owen there. It's given Joyner and Gardner a bit of breathing room. A little bit of a dent in the front of Gardner's car there, so he's made contact with someone there. He tries to go around the outside near the chicane, gets it done, a little bit of a tap. And there's Joyner cuts across the front of Owen and Morrill, but that allows Gardner up into P4. And now it looks like Owen is going to get past, he gets past at least for now. Gets past Luke Joyner, who's having a look up the inside into the hairpin. He goes late and he gets it done for now. Morrill up the inside of Owen, and Joyner sort of blocked Owen, and that's allowed Morrill through. There's a bit of a Turmo is around at the hairpin. So let's just have a look and see what happened here. He was behind him. So Turmo was behind him, and Bruno's come from a long way back. Oh, that is a very bad incident, and Bruno's given him a couple of taps there. Johnny's had nowhere to go and rear-ended him, and then Turmo's copped another tap there, and that's dropped him all the way down to 17th, and he's into the pit, so that will probably end up with a penalty of some sort to Bruno, I think, because that was pretty naughty. And unfortunately, Turmo into the pits down in 16th. He'll probably go a lap down now. But back at the front, Foley has got the gap down to Brendan Ross to 4.7 seconds with 15 minutes remaining. He's got 5.7 seconds over Matt Williams, and Matt Williams has 3.2 seconds over Reece Gardner. So Farcanel racing this time out, having a much better run. The car's in 2nd and 3rd, but still a long way to go. And now Gardner, he's got to contend with Morrill. These two battled hard in the first race. In fact, they've battled hard throughout the Touring Car Championship history. It's not really a Touring Car Championship man without those two battling on track at some point. And they've got James Owen behind them as well, which is very hard for the chicane. Loses the back end a little bit, so it costs him a little bit of time to Gardner in front. Foley, fastest lap of the race, only one in the 15, so he did a 15.9 on that last lap. So, had he not made that mistake in qualifying, he might have been a chance to take 2 from 2. Gardner has brought that gap right down to Scruff/L-Chief/Matt Williams. 9/10 of a second now, so 1.3 seconds faster in the middle sector. That gap right down now. It's like Morrill and Owen side by side. Massive lock-up for Owen, drops him down to 6, and he'll be driving on 50-cent pieces right now after that lock-up. He's trying to make his way past Scott Morrill, but couldn't quite get it done. And looks like Gardner up the inside into turn 2. He's having a look. Matt Williams giving him just enough space. Going to try and hang it around the outside, but probably not going to get that done. He's got a decent exit at the bottom of the hill. And he's going to try and hang it. He's done a very good job to try and hang it around the outside, but it's just too long a radius of corner to get it done. Unfortunately, that's his Matt Williams down to P4. That said, he's having a look up the inside at the chicane. So decides against it. So now Williams is going to have to contend with Morrill and Owen behind. The gap at the front as Foley laps Brownie, so the gap is now 2.2 seconds. On that last lap, with 16.1 for Foley, a 17.8 for Ross, and this time around a 16.8 for Foley and a 17.1. A 17.1 for Ross and a 16.8 for Foley, I should say. There you can see Turmo. So Turmo has come out a lap down, which is rather unfortunate. As there are no wrongdoing on his behalf that he ended up getting rear-ended, but he's kept going, which is admirable of him. And now we've got Morrill up the inside as Matt Williams ran wide at turn 2. Morrill having a look, and Williams is going to have to try and hold on around the outside, otherwise he's going to lose 2 spots. Pinches on a little bit on the exit, but looks like he'll hold on for now, but Morrill will move up into P4. Both Williams and Owen first and second in the championship. Owen leading the championship and Matt Williams P2, at least before this round. So this battle does have championship implications. Doing his absolute best. He has a look up the inside of Morrill. Morrill gives him a little bit of space and a little bit of a nudge, but looks like Williams will get that done. So very late move there. And he gets that done and he'll move back up into P4 with 10.5 minutes remaining. Oh, as he gets it all kinds of side. That rear left tyre clipping the sleeping policeman / sausage curb the wrong way. That sent him very sideways, very reminiscent of a motocross rider. And he hit the jump the wrong way, but he's held onto it, and it sort of balked Morrill a little bit, and that's allowed Owen to get a good run on him. As Morrill goes defensive, and Owen's going to have to go around the outside, which is almost impossible around that long radius corner, but Owen is going to try it, and he'll get it done. As Morrill clipped the curb, it slowed him down, unsettled him, and that's allowed Owen past. And so Morrill's dropped 2 spots in the space of half a lap. And we cut to it just in time as Foley, up the inside of Ross, takes the lead. So purple first sector for Foley. I'll have to have a look at his middle sector. It updates itself on live races, but Brendan Foley into the lead. Brendan Ross down to P2. He had a big lead, but Foley just far too quick. And on that last lap, Brendan Ross getting a track cut, so that's something to look out for later on in the race. And looks like they're coming up to lap traffic. That is Brian Walsh, I believe. We've had Fernando Bruno retire, so I don't know if that was related to the incident he had with Turmo or something else, but Brian Walsh getting in the way a little bit there. Hopefully he doesn't block Ross too much there. He lifts out and doesn't hold anyone up. thankfully. And looks like Reece Gardner's got a bit of damage on the right-hand side of his car, so I don't know if he's clipped the barrier somewhere that we haven't seen. And Murrell's, well, got himself past Owen, and now he's just got himself back in front of Matt Williams. So we cut ahead to the changing of the lead, and we cut back, and all these positions are swapped over once again. So Murrell back into P4, Scruff down to P5, and Owen down to P6. Once again, Williams having a look into the far canal hairpin, and Murrell runs wide, and it's going to give Williams another chance into the chicane now, but he's not quite close enough. Decides better of it. He's got Owen sort of bump driving him into the chicane, as they all get massively airborne over the sleeping policeman. Williams doing his best to hold on his championship rival, but looks like Owen should get that done on the inside, but Williams very late on the brakes, and he holds on for now. And he should hold on to the under the bridge section, yeah, and he does. And it's a fair effort to hold on around the outside of turn 2, but he's done it. But with all that battling going on, it's allowed Murrell to break away a little bit. He's now second and change in front of these guys. So Brownie has just hit the wall behind Miss Gardner there. Gap at the lead, 1.5 seconds between Foley and Ross now, so Foley looking like he's going to get his season up and running, and Ross looking like he's got 10 seconds to Gardner. We know Gardner's got a bit of pace. He was a second faster than Ross in that last lap, but there's only 6 and 3/4 minutes remaining, so it's going to be difficult for him to pull that back. So barring mistake, Ross should finish P2. With Murrell in P4, a good result for Piston Rope Racing. And we've had Matt Williams drop down, so what has happened here? So he's had James Owen right behind him, and it looks like he's just outbroke himself. He has. Oh, and he's just clipped the barrier there. He's had to do a Yui. So now Matt Williams down to 7th. That's dropped him behind. So he lost, obviously, position to Owen, and also dropped him behind Cracker, who is 4.4 seconds down the road now, and he's got Johnny behind him in 8th. And then there's Luke Joyner, Ben Purse, Brian Walsh on 2 wheels, and Baker got himself a drive-through, and he's got himself another drive-through, so that's him down. We've had Wayne Whitmore just retire. Maybe not just retire, maybe it happened a little while ago, but we've had a couple of retirements with Gary Neville and Wayne Whitmore, so try and find and see what happened. No, it's too long ago, so there's a couple of retirements. Jaden Draper also out, Donaldson, Hector Kaza also out, and then there's Brownie. So all those retirements happening in the last 3 laps or so, as well as Fernando Bruno and Coops out. So last couple of laps have been fairly attritional, as Foley extends his lead over Brendan Ross. Behind them, the battle for P4 continues, and Scott Murrell has lost out to James Owen. So what's happened here? He's ran wide at the hairpin. He's got Brian Walsh in front. And Brian Walsh very slow through the hairpin and then blocked. Oh, that is not good to see, and that is very frustrating for Murrell, who had a lap car in front of him just block him. And James Owen says, I'll take that. That'll be the easiest way he'll pass someone today. And very frustrating for Scott Murrell after doing all the hard work to obviously get past Owen and Williams multiple times, and then to have it taken away from him through no fault of his own. And that'll drop him down to P5. And it looks like Cracker is extending his gap over Matt Williams. I think Matt Williams might be having a bit of tyre issues, or might even have a slight suspension damage, which might be hindering him after obviously he clipped the barrier right here at the hairpin. He's going to have to try and hold on Johnny, pestering him till the end. Chief, as he saw all over the curves there. So now Johnny to close in even further. Oh, a little bit of a lock up in turn 2. That's going to allow Johnny through surely. They're going to be side by side down the hill. And there it is. There is position for Johnny. And there's Matt Williams down to P8. But because Johnny is not a part of the championship, he's driving in a guest driver's car. That won't affect the championship, but he is trying to go back up the inside at the chicane as they come across Brian Walsh once again. And Matt Williams up to P7. And it looks like Brown in the way as well. Luke Joyner's not too far behind these guys either, so if these guys battling, could see Luke Joyner later on close up as Johnny pushes way too hard on the exit, and there's another car into the barrier on the left-hand side there. This is currently the closest battle on track. So it's for P7. Oh, Matt Williams very wide there. Completely mucked up the chicane. It's so quickly that hasn't cost him position, at least not yet. Lucky not to have more damage to that car. He's now 8.3 seconds behind Cracker. And Cracker, he's got 2.5 seconds to Morrill, and Morrill's got 2.9 to Owen, so a bit of damage there for Morrill there, so I don't know if he's clipped a barrier somewhere. But yeah, he's dropped a bit more time now to James Owen. With just under 2 minutes remaining. Miss Gardner, it's got 3 seconds to, or 2.7 to Owen behind, but 9.9 to Ross in front, and then 15 to Foley, who's done a fantastic job so far this race. Made his way through the field cleanly and got himself into the lead and hasn't looked back. As Ross outbrakes himself and he's into the barrier at turn 2 there, coming up to lap Turmo. So Johnny has got past, something has happened to Matt Williams, so we'll just have a look at the replay. Looks like he's outbroke himself again at the hairpin. He hasn't hit the barrier, smart enough to turn away, but that's dropped him now. In fact, he's retired. He got himself a drive-through, so I'm going to have to hazard a guess that sort of Ron Walsh was in an awkward spot to lap him, and he got himself a drive-through, and he's had enough. That's unfortunate for Williams, because it was the closest to James Owen in the championship, and with that DNF, that's probably going to put a massive dent in his championship hopes. And Scott Murrell has made another mistake, because he's got Cracker right behind him now. Let's try and see what happened here. Another one that's outbroken himself, no? Or is Cracker? No, Cracker might have just been. It's just been quicker. So last lap is 2 seconds faster. So Murrell did make a mistake somewhere. But now Cracker all over the back of Murrell. He's looking the goods early, just like he did in the first race. He looked all right early, and then obviously in this race he's in front of James Owen. But once again, a mistake that we didn't see dropped him behind him, and now another mistake has got allowed Cracker to get right behind him. Murrell does run wide. It's going to give Cracker a decent run into the chicane, but clipping the curb there, as we've seen so far, you clip it and it just costs you a lot of lap time and speed down here into the chicane. So Murrell holds on for now as they both lock up. Cracker trying to do a little bit of a switch back and set up the exit, and in fact he's done that beautifully, and he's going to have a very good run now into the Far Canal hairpin. Runs wide, he's going to defend the inside. Cracker going to try and go around the outside, so he's braked very late. A little bit of a lock up to his right front. Now he's going to try the switch back, gives Murrell a little bit of a punt, but that's cost him, and Murrell will hold on for now as time expires. So the next lap will be the final one. with Britton Foley 8.6 in front of Ross, and Ross 6.7 in front of Gardner. Looks like Rossi is just taking it easy, although he has got looks like he's got a couple of dings in the front of that car. Cut back, and Morrill just holding on for now. So they go under the bridge with Cracker right behind him. Britton Foley coming up to the hairpin. Morrill defensive in the chicane. Cut forward to Foley in just a moment. So Foley coming up to the final chicane. Lights ablaze. And he will take his first win of the season and gets his championship defence, hopefully for his sake, back on track. Brendan Ross will finish a magnificent P2, and Gardner, who has an ever-closing James Owen behind him, but Gardner will finish P3, Owen P4. Cracker did get in front of Morrill, so Morrill wide through the long left-hander, clipped the barrier a little bit, and Cracker is going to have to pull off some kind of overtake to go around the outside. Didn't have to, because Morrill just outbroke himself into the hairpin, and Cracker says thank you very much. And that's Morrill P6 then. Johnny P7. Joyner crosses the line for P8. Ryan Walsh will finish provisional P9. Ben Purse got a DNF on the last lap there. So that result I don't think will count for him. Termo P11. Baker P12. Matt Williams DNF 13th, and Brownie, he finished in 14th, 3 laps down. So that was a fairly action-packed race. Obviously not so much for the lead towards the end of the race, but we did see Britton Foley storm his way through the field for the second time this evening, and this time he got himself into the lead and didn't look back. Brendan Ross did the best he could. Obviously, he did all you could ask for in that situation. He got away and built up a lead early, but just wasn't quite fast enough to hold off Brenton Foley, but still good enough to finish in P2. Reece Gardner, nice and methodical through the field up to to finish P3. James Owen, who was sort of up and down a little bit, had his chance to possibly finish on the podium early on, but just couldn't get past a number of cars, and that obviously didn't give him enough time to catch up and pass Gardner before the end. He finished P4, Cracker P5, Scott Morrill P6, Johnny P7, Luke Joyner P8, Ben Purse DNF, or one lap down, P9, and Brian Walsh provisional P10.
3/10, and I still managed to overdo it. But yeah, I managed to kind of just pick away at everyone in the first race. The main goal, obviously, because it's a very, very tight track, so I just made sure that obviously I didn't make contact and just pick the gaps when they came. And thankfully, a lot of gaps opened up, and I just drove on by. But yeah, I knew I wouldn't get the first 3, so my goal was 4th, because I knew by the time I'd passed, if I could pass everyone, the top 3 would skip away. But yeah,
well, you certainly gave it a good old go, and we did. It was brought up early in the race that you were about 17, 18 seconds behind, and you did manage to bring the gap down to 16.5 seconds by the end of the race. So despite passing, obviously, multiple cars on your way to get to that point, you still managed to close the gap, which obviously was pretty encouraging. And then moving on to the second race, you once again picked your way through the field nice and calmly, and then you just had to close the gap down to Rossi in front.
Yeah, pretty much as you said. The fact I was looking at the kind of my lap times compared to them in the end of the first race, and that kind of gave me a good indication that I would be able to battle them in the second race. So I knew starting the second race, the fact that I started ahead of those 3, all I had to do was make sure I got a couple of cars between us, which I managed to do after I think 2 or 3. And then I used that to my advantage and just kind of skipped away a little bit. And then, yeah, just a lot of concentration to catch Rossi. He was driving really well.
Yeah, Rossi certainly was driving very well in that second race. You did manage to close the gap down. Obviously, it did take a little while, but once you got into the lead, you sort of just drove away there. But after, obviously, you did put a bit of a gap on Rossi. Were you conserving the tyres a little bit? Because the lap time wasn't quite there as much.
I personally, when I wanted to make at least a 2-second gap, kind of just in case I ran wide or made a mistake or something like that, which I managed to do. But personally, I find that if I ease off, I make more mistakes. So I didn't want to ease off too much. There was just a couple of danger zones like that final chicane and the chicane leading onto the back straight. I was braking a little bit early just to make sure I hit my marks and didn't make any silly mistakes because I didn't need to.
Yeah, these cars, they're a little bit more difficult to drive when you're driving, I suppose, a little bit more conservatively with the way the differential settings work, as I think a few drivers have found out. So probably is the smarter option to drive a little bit harder, and obviously it's helped you bring home your first win of the season.
Yeah, finally redeem myself after the first 2 rounds. Thank you.
No worries, and once again, well done on 4th and 1st place. And so I think we'll go to Reese Gardner. Obviously, didn't win either of the races tonight, Reese, but 2 very solid results and very hard fights throughout both races.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, I came into this race with barely any practice because I only just got my internet sorted, like half an hour, almost an hour, I think, before qualifying started. So I was off on the back foot, but the setup that I had from Velo Park was really good. And I guess I ended up doing well enough to qualify 4th. And from then on, it's just a case of keeping it clean, you know?
Yeah, well, obviously you bring up qualifying, and I think that's something that is noteworthy in that obviously you hadn't done too much practice, but I think the way that you've gone about your driving in all the races you've done here so far is that when you need to get a lap time in and you need to be consistent, you get it done. And obviously qualifying around a street circuit like this is vitally important. And with that, it sort of set up your first race being able to put maybe not your best lap together, but certainly a lap that would put you in the upper echelon on the grid and set you up for at least a decent result in race 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that you guys couldn't really see the lap being done, but from my perspective, it was absolutely horrendous. In turn 2, I ended up braking a bit too late and the rear end swung out, so I think I lost all up about, I don't know, 4 or 5 tenths just there, and I ended up qualifying 8 tenths down. So it was definitely not the best lap that I could have done, but I guess, everyone was having difficulties with the track on their own in qualifying, so I guess I ended up making the best of it.
Well, that's it. Obviously, one lap qualifying. It's about not making a mistake, and if you do make a mistake, making the smallest one possible. And yours happened to be a lot less than a lot of other runners out there. With I think half the field not even setting a lap with track cuts and accidents. So it did set you up there. And then obviously the reverse grid race. You had a big battle there with obviously in the middle part of that race, and then you had James obviously right at the end try and close in, but you just got ahead and finished a second ahead in the end. So I think that middle sector or middle section of the race where you did break away a little bit sort of helped you get that P2 result in the end, or P3 result in the end.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely wasn't my tidiest race. I actually hit the pit exit wall shortly after I'd gotten free of the big battle, so my steering was slightly off center for the remainder of the race from there. But yeah, I just developed a bit of tunnel vision. It's easy to do when the walls are so close, right? But from that point, it was just a case of setting laps. I kind of backed off a bit towards the end because I knew I was safe, and bringing it home in P3, it's definitely a good result to come back to after missing the second race at Vela Park.
Yeah, obviously, the start of the season hasn't gone as well as you would have hoped, but obviously both results tonight, I think a third and a fourth off the top of my head, a second and a third, a second and a fourth, I should say, being obviously ones that you hope, I guess, to set yourself up for the remainder of the championship.
Yeah, certainly. I definitely think I'm a contender, and I'm definitely happy with where I am in terms of my pace and my comfort in the car. So bring on the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can win more races.
Well, if you can remain as consistent as what you were in the back half of obviously last season, you should be in contention, no doubt. But you're probably going to need to have or hope that James has a result or two that isn't quite up to par that he's set so far. But obviously, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, and for our last interview, I think we'll go to Brendan Ross. Once again, another up and down round for you. That first race, well, qualifying didn't go exactly to plan. The race in race one didn't go exactly to plan, but you stuck with it, and obviously started at the front for the second race. But we'll just go back to your first race. What exactly happened that put you well down the field there in that first race?
Yes, he basically explained it, but the incident was that the first chicane just sort of locked up and then hit the wall and just stuffed the steering for most of the race then. So yeah, that's just what sort of slowed me pace up and dropped me down the field.
Yeah, we did see a few drivers struggling with that chicane, that curb in particular, and if it wasn't the curb, people would just lock up there. But that second race there, you did all you could early on to build up a bit of a gap, but you just weren't quite fast enough to obviously keep Foley behind.
No, so yeah, the idea of that race was really just to build that lead, and then I knew I didn't have the pace at all for this race, but I knew as soon as one of the top guys like Brenton was able to break through, he'd catch me in no time, and well done to him. He definitely had the pace over just about anyone, and managed to put a lead back on for no chance for me to come back at it.
Well, despite that, still a very good result in P2, and you'll be hoping that you can put a few good results together and get yourself back up in the higher spots in the championship.
Yes, I'll be hoping to see these street tracks out and finally to a circuit where there's no walls.
Well, unfortunately for you, the next one is at Adelaide, so it'll be more barriers fairly close by, although I believe they're a bit further away than what they are at this track.
Yeah, so just got to look ahead.
But obviously, once again, on your second place in race 2, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, so this is, I believe, the last round. Well, it is the last round of the Monday night events for the season. There is no Rookie Cup next week, obviously being Christmas Eve. The last event at Automobilista Australia is on Thursday for the year. It is the Porsche Cup, the season finale, I believe, at Mid-Ohio. So that'll be taken care of by ARW TV with Stairs and friends. And we do hope we get a good turnout, and hopefully we have a couple races which send the obviously Automobilista off with a bang. It's been a fantastic year for the group, and we hope everybody that has tuned in to watch and that has participated has enjoyed themselves. And yeah, we shall, well, at least for the Monday night events, we do return obviously in the new year with the Touring Car Championship resumes. Just trying to find myself the calendar. Yes, January 7 is when Adelaide returns, I believe. And then when the Rookie Cup returns, let me just click on some information. Just try and find it for everybody. If Live Races wouldn't want to hurry up, well, if it would hurry up, that would be great. But yes, on Live Races, or not on Live Races, but on Discord, the Touring Car Championship returns from Adelaide on January 7. And then obviously on the 14th, the rookies do return off the top of my head. But anyway, we do hope you've enjoyed this broadcast, and we do hope obviously everybody comes and watches on Thursday night. Thank you all for all the drivers and all those that have watched throughout the year. And we do hope that everybody enjoys their Christmas and New Year season. And we hope to see you in the new year. Cheers.